Hello, ninth grade.
Morning, everybody.
We are on Wednesday, and so we shall be continuing with our online learning. Any objections? Well, too bad, guys.
No objections? Great.
Great, no objections. Okay, so I gotta get this screen shared for the class. Hey. All right, enough fooling around. Persona is our focus for today. I can identify persona in a poem. If you're not with us for the live session and you're just tuning in now, make sure that at some point during your day today, you take a moment to just breathe and ground yourself, take a step back, take a few deep breaths, clear your mind, empty your brain, let your worries kind of dissipate, and just be with your breath, be with yourself, and then start the work when you are in the best state that you can enter the work in. So, what is persona? If you look at that word persona, right inside you see this word person, which gives you a little hint at what persona is.
The persona is the part of a person that they present to others. So it's the part of you that you present to others. As a writer, and this week we're working with poems, so as a poet, you can become anyone you want to when you are writing. So it's like assuming a role as an actor and then playing out that role.
So last marking period, actually 2 marking periods ago, when we did some work with the Odyssey, right? Feels like that was forever ago. We learned about archetypes, all right? And we spoke about these kind of character archetypes that exist. A good way to maybe make the connection to persona today would be to think about some of those archetypes that we see in not just literature, but in TV shows and movies, in our own situations that we are in with people that we know. So you've got the hero, right? The victim, the one that is abused, or the victor, the winner. You have that sage, wise old person, sometimes maybe young, maybe old. The helper, the mentor, or the lover. These are just a few examples. There's many, many, many more, but this is a good reference slide for you to come back to, and you're going to see why in a few minutes. So we're going to practice identifying the persona of the speaker in the poem. And we're going to model this with 3 very small samples. The first one is a poem by Emily Dickinson from 'Tis So Much Joy. So we're thinking about what's the persona of the speaker.
What kind of person are they? They're telling us something about themselves. What is it that we should take away from it? So here goes. 'Tis so much joy, 'tis so much joy. If I should fail, what poverty? And yet, as poor as I have ventured all upon a throw, have gained. Yes, hesitated so this side the victory. So there's a lot of strange types of words. 'Tis is a weird old way of just saying it is. Ventured means tried or wagered. But there's a lot of words that we can see in there that have something in common. So take a second before I say what they are and look and see what words you can find in there. They're super positive that have something else in common as well. Okay, hopefully you saw joy repeated. Hopefully you saw gained and victory.
So that leads us to conclude that the persona of the speaker in this poem is the winner, right? They are a victor or a winner of something. We don't know what, we don't know when, we don't know how. That's not important. But if we had to identify the persona, we'd say that this speaker is maybe the winner or the victor of whatever situation he or she is in.
Yeah. If this is a poem about sports or gambling, maybe the poet won a bunch of money on a throw of the dice. If this is a poem about romance, maybe the poet or the speaker in the poem wrote a love letter to their crush and got a love letter back in return, because you risk a lot when you write a love letter to somebody, and maybe you just get ghosted and you never know the results of your risk, or maybe you get a really mean text in response. But this person clearly sent out something into the world and won something because of it.
Second example is Apart from Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. This is a much longer poem, but we're just, again, pulling a small sample or a snippet of it. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. You might have heard this one before. So I'm noticing a couple of repeated words, and I'm thinking about maybe who this speaker might be and what they might be experiencing.
It's pretty on the nose. So if you're like, I think I know, but it's too obvious, well, guess what? You know.
It's the lover, right? This gentleman.
Maybe she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. So we're talking about a couple that's really in love, and that's really sweet.
Last poem is a snippet from The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost.
The same guy that wrote Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening. So now we are in the woods again. And here goes. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth.
This one's a little bit tricky, but think about some of the setting words in here and the nouns that you see in here. The roads diverged in a yellow wood. Look at those action words. Could not travel. Long I stood, looked down one as far as I could.
Okay, and he comes out and he describes who he is right there in the middle. Who is he? He's a traveler. Now, maybe you looked at that poem and you said, well, I get feelings of regret because he said, I'm sorry I could not travel both. Okay, so maybe he is a sad traveler. Maybe he is a regretful traveler. But either way, he's a man on a walk. Or maybe it's a woman on a walk. Just because the poet is a man doesn't mean the speaker has to be. I got a lot of great responses from people reading Langston Hughes's
poem, the Dream Variations.
Yeah, Dream Variations. And their idea of who the speaker of that poem would be was a black woman whirling and twirling in the ending day. So yeah, this just because the poet is of one gender or the other doesn't mean the poem speaker has to be.
Okay, so we have a winner, a lover, and a traveler. Okay, and again, you're not only limited to these options here. The traveler, I don't even think was one on our list, but try to think about what person or type of person your speaker is embodying in the poem that's being written. So your task for today, you are going to identify in either the movie poem that you wrote or the character poem that you wrote, whichever poem you've been working with since Monday, you're going to identify the persona of the speaker in your poem. On Monday, you added alliteration and onomatopoeia. You enhanced the poem. Yesterday, you identified the emotion that the speaker in the poem felt. Today, you're identifying the persona that that speaker embodies in the poem that is written. So you're working with the same exact poem you have since Monday, and it's the poem that you wrote. And then all you need to do for your task today is go into Google Classroom and find the question that says Wednesday 431 persona in poem. I'm going to change that. Persona in poem. And you just want to type in the persona. So it'll probably be just a word or two.
If you want to incorporate the emotion that you identified yesterday into your persona, that'd be great too, but not required.
And that's all we have for you guys today. Yeah. Pretty straightforward. Hopefully you were able to join us for the live session, and maybe you're just watching this as a refresher. And if not, and you're just joining independently and you have some questions, you can email either of us or join Mr. Allen's 1:30 session today.
The link will be in Google Classroom.
And we'll just review the same information. Good luck, guys.
Thanks, everybody.